I'm in the G63 today, also known as the G-Wagon. This vehicle is a 2015 G63, and it's got 29,000 miles on it, so still drives like a new car. I'm on my way to the gym, and just wanted to just share some of my thoughts, what's going on. So I am in a bodybuilding prep right now. I have it'll be 7 weeks tomorrow before the competition, which is on July 11th in Nashua, New Hampshire. I'll be competing in classic physique, which is like classic bodybuilding, so 1970s era bodybuilding, so nice tight waist, broad shoulders, things like that. So in the calorie deficit still, and still dropping some more body fat. I'm at 10% body fat right now, and we'll be in the single digits within another week or so. So I got that going on. That's a big focus right now. Some of the other things, going on, it's Memorial Day weekend, so maybe I'll go out on the boat if the weather's nice, but try to get out and enjoy kind of the kickoff to summer here in New Hampshire. So yeah, not too much else kind of going on here. I will do a video review of the G63. Maybe I'll do it with New England Pete again, because he did a great job on the Black Series video. And since I'm new to YouTube, I don't have as many skills yet in filming content. So it'd be great to do that again with him. But I'm sure one of the questions you have, because I would have the same question as well, is like, I own 3 AMGs right now, and that's kind of always been my goal. My first goal was actually to own an AMG at all, and that was several years ago, where what happened was I saw a video on YouTube actually of a C63, and that was the original sedan, 4-door, and it was so cool because it was like this Mercedes refined luxury car, but also a muscle car. And so I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I just happened to look to see if any were for sale in the area, and there was one for sale in Windham, New Hampshire. And so I went and drove it, and that's when everything changed for me around cars. It was like this car was me. It just created this emotional response in me that I was like, oh my God, I've never had this feeling before. And so I bought the car, and that was the first Mercedes I've ever owned. It was a C63 AMG, and the 4-door, it was 2009, black, of course. And that's really what got me into it. And I fell in love with that car, and I only sold it to get the C63 Black Series, which was my dream car and the ultimate version of the C63. So that's kind of how it started for me. But the cars are actually way more than a lot of people recognize, unless you're a car person. There's a lot more to it than just like, oh, I want a nice car and it's fun to drive and things like that. There's actually a lot more to it. What I think about when I'm driving these cars is everything that it took to get them. So all the hard work, all the suffering, all the sacrifices that I've had to make in order to have some things that I enjoy doing. So I never forget like the struggle, because that's where like the beauty is in the struggle, right? Where it's like, I don't know at one time in my life, I basically had to start over. Okay. It was like 7, 8 years ago. I went through a divorce, and it was like starting over. It's like all this work I had put in, it's gone. Um, money, things like that. It was devastating. Okay. And I never thought in a million years that not only would I like be able to own cars like this and have a life that I want, I didn't even know if I was going to survive, really, because it was so stressful. And it was like, it was so bad that I didn't even know if I was going to make it, like, alive, basically, if you get my drift, because it was so painful. And there was like nothing I could do to ease that pain. Um, a lot of men will engage in coping mechanisms to manage that pain, things like alcohol and drugs and um, pornography, things like that. Those are all coping mechanisms to deal with the pain. The way that I dealt with the pain was through fitness. I joined CrossFit and was able to work out my anger and my frustration in a more productive way than a self-destructive way. Don't get me wrong, there were times where I was just like, I don't know if this is helping, or I'm still really upset, still really depressed. But fitness and CrossFit allowed me a way to manage that pain and to work on myself and to get stronger. And there were days where it was like the last thing I wanted to do was go work out. I just wanted to lay in bed and just sit there and cry, basically. But every time I went to the gym and every time I finished the workout, I felt better. And so that dopamine release was a way to ease the pain and ease the suffering. And so um, these are all the things that I think about when I'm driving these AMGs, is that time when I was really, really struggling and suffering and didn't even know if I was going to be able to survive, have a roof over my head, be able to feed myself. Um, you know, I wasn't going to be around my kids as much. It just was completely devastating. However, it was like the best and worst thing to happen to me. The best meaning, like, it really made me work really hard. It was like the only thing I could do was just like work. It's like, all right, if there's one thing I can control, one thing I can do, it's work. And so that's what I did. And that, once again, was kind of like a little bit of a coping mechanism for sure, because if I'm working and working and working, I don't have to deal with, the depression and the thoughts in my head. So it definitely, at certain points, became a coping mechanism just to, like, do something and not deal with that pain and anguish. So it's very important to realize when I'm doing something that I want to do and for the right reasons, or am I doing it to avoid pain, right? As a coping mechanism. It's very important to be able to distinguish between the two, because I never want to be engaging in coping mechanisms. It's just masking the pain. I don't deal with it, and then it will come up later in my life in a different way when it gets triggered. So one of the things I did was join a men's group. So I'm part of a organization called the Mankind Project, and I meet every week for 2.5 hours with other men And we go through a lot of processes, very structured, to heal trauma and to heal our inner child wounds. And it's been incredible. It changed my life. I've I've attended retreats, I've staffed retreats, and I realized how important it is to be able to feel my emotions, whether it's grief, sadness, joy, shame, fear, anger. Like, it's so important to feel those emotions and not just bury them or distract myself or cope, okay? Because I have to process them to be able to heal and to move on. Otherwise, I just repeat that cycle. It stays in me and it just keeps getting brought out again and again until I deal with it. So, for any men out there that are struggling and that need help from other men, I highly recommend the Mankind Project. You can go online and find a local I group within your area. There's also I groups on Zoom. So attend these groups and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's been instrumental in my life. So, yeah, those are the things that I think about while I'm driving these cars. So it's just a great reflection, a great reminder of what I've done, what I've been through, and what I continue to work on to become better. So, like I said, there's a lot more to the cars than surface level, appeal. It goes really, really deep. And it was just a way for me to celebrate and remind myself that I can do it. It does take a lot of work, but it's worth it. Okay. So hopefully, because this inspires me just to hear about it, hopefully it inspires others as well, that it is possible, as hard as it looks, or as, mountainous as it seems. It's just like one day at a time, where it's like I do what I'm supposed to do. I work hard and I feel good about myself at the end of the day, and then I do it again the next day. So we'll have one more turn, couple more turns here, and then I'll be at the gym. It's funny, the G-Wagon is one of those vehicles that's got tons of quirks. Quirks meaning like there's no cup holders. I had to install this cup holder in the vent. It's got, of course, the lock sound when you lock the doors. It's very unique. It's got ashtrays in the rear seats. I mean, this is like Russian mafia type vehicle. It's super, super rugged. Girls actually love the G-Wagon. Out of all my cars, without fail, the G-Wagon is the girls' most favorite vehicle. They just love the G-Wagon. Just kind of funny. So, and that's another whole area and topic that I'll cover in another video, multiple videos probably, is the dynamic between men and women, relationships today, what I've experienced and what I've learned from my own life, and what actually goes on in today's world, and the challenges that we have around really healthy and meaningful, deep relationships with the opposite sex. So I'll cover that, like I said, in future videos, because there's a lot to talk about there. But I will say, one of the things I learned was that everything that I need and want in a relationship from a woman, I actually have already within myself. So what I mean is, the love that I have is already within me. I have to love myself, and I mean really love myself, to then attract the right person in my life. There's been many times where I did not love myself. I did not have a high or self-worth view of myself. And that did not play out well when it came to dating at all, because I basically needed to get something from somebody in order to feel good about myself. And now, after all the work that I've put in, I don't need to do that. And so, as long as I'm good with myself, as long as I'm proud of myself, as long as I'm putting in the work in myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, the universe will just provide and present the right people in my life. So I don't go out and try and like find a girlfriend or anything like that, or you know, um, try to like, you know, go find a girlfriend. It's not what I do. What I do is I just work and focus on myself. I do my work. I do my thing, and the girls will come to me, and then I get to then evaluate whether they're a good fit for me or not. Instead of me just going after going after a girl and not really seeing anything or seeing any red flags, and just focused on you know her looks and things like that. So I do have a girlfriend at the moment, and she's wonderful. And it was just like I'm talking about. It was the universe bringing her into my circle. We met at a restaurant, local restaurant, and just started talking there, and then went out on a few dates, and then realized like we get along really well, and this is easy, this is nice, and it's mature. Okay, so I had to mature as a man. She's matured as a woman, and there's a mutual understanding around that. And so it's a lot healthier. Um, it's nice. It's a nice change, and but once again, the only way that this would have happened is if I was doing exactly what I told you I've been doing, which is working on myself, focused on becoming better, healing my inner child wounds, um, and it never stops. Okay, so it's like, just because I got a girlfriend now doesn't mean I let off the gas. Nope, the gas is still put down to the floor, and I'm going full speed ahead, and she's joining me along for that ride. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It's you know it's a challenge, but I like a challenge. And like I said, there's still some things that are very, very difficult for me to deal with, in terms of the divorce and all that stuff, and seeing my kids, and yeah, that is still really tough. My daughter's turning 18 next month. My son will be 14 next month. So there's still still a ways to go until further ties are cut all the way. But it is so far better than what it was before, and I'm just so glad that I've put in the work to become better and didn't let it really destroy my life as it could have. So, well, I'm at the gym now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and listening to my honest thoughts that I have going on right now. Going to hit the gym hard. I got a job interview later today, which is kind of cool. I've been looking for a new job. The market is really bad right now. I'm in the tech industry, and I do have work right now, but the market is the economy is really bad right now. So hopefully I can find this job and get something with a little bit more security. and saying hi to Kayla. Just drove by. I'm at the gym now. Everybody's saying hi. Uh, and hopefully I can get this job and have some more security. So I'm not worried about how I'm going to pay for my bills. Um, but yeah, I wish you all the best out there. You can always reach out to me if you have specific questions. There's a lot of experience I have going through all these different things and what I learned throughout these processes and life lessons that can save you time and pain. So yeah, like I said, feel free to reach out to me. My contact info is up on the channel, in the description of the channel and things like that. So feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm always here to help. And same thing for nutrition and or bodybuilding coaching. Since this is my passion as well, if you need any help in that area, feel free to reach out. And have a great day and a great Memorial Day weekend.